Day 4 of the Godforge Alpha Caverns, and we're asking ourselves the question, has the meta been solved already? We're going to be talking about that today, along with two other changes that I would like to see made if possible, and also discussing whether the winner of the elusive prize in the third wave is simply going to be who can keep their computer on the longest. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Godforge video. And today, whilst there is a little bit of a negative sentiment to it with some improvements I'd like to see, it is all for a good, positive reason, and we're going to try and keep it constructive. So, there are three things that are topics of conversation today, and the first one, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the Fafnir boss, and whether the big prize to go to Vegas is simply going to be won by who can keep their computer on the longest. Now, as you can see here, I am currently doing 388 million. We are running on 1x speed because it is a lot smoother for the computer and running of things. So if you're doing overnight farming, perhaps that is something to help you and stop it from crashing out during the night. Now, as you can see from my team, I am not going to die. Simply put. Which way we'll lean this way. You can see Shamash and Aphrodite both have a blue part of their bar, and the same with the other side, just there. And then we've got a grey part of our bar too. The grey part of the bar is the shield, the blue part is the barrier that I am stacking. Our health bars are nowhere to be seen because our health bars are not being touched. And that is the first sort of issue, I guess, with the alpha experience so far, is that the meta has already been solved. Now that is always going to happen when you have a small hero pool. It was the same in Etheria restart, and where we've only got sort of 67 champions in this alpha experience, we're seeing a lot of the same thing. Now what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to show you a screenshot of a friend of mine, I say friend of mine, someone who is taking part in the Alpha Caverns experience as well, and show you where he is at currently. 1.5 billion. That's right. 1.5 billion damage. And you'll notice from the champs we have at the bottom of the screen, we have a Shamash, we have a Zeus, and we have an Aphrodite. And if we look at my team, I have a Zeus, I have a Shamash, and I have an Aphrodite. What do these all have in common? Follow-up attacks. Lots and lots of them. Now the differences between our two teams, he is running Hercules for the acid, I am using Dracula for the bleeds. Jaylong also has Imhotep as his sort of healer and support. I've brought Horus in. I used Horus mainly for the speed down and the shield that he provides, because it can stack on top of the barrier. But the result is the same. You put a hero in the Japanese weapon, Ame no, whatever it is. I'll pop it up during editing so you can see it. Where you diminish the divinity whenever you attack Fafnir, and he will never ult, so he never gets the stacking damage, and with the decreased speed that I've got, he's essentially taking turns so little, and it's allowed us to stack the barrier up that it has not become an issue. And that in itself is a problem, in that if you don't have these three heroes, it's going to be very hard to compete. which then leads to who can leave their PC on the longest. Now, I'm not going to leave this on overnight because I've got things to do, videos to make for you lot, including the two other parts of this, and we're going to have to skill one our way out of this in a moment until we die, so I can do the other two suggestions, because I do want to log a score. I have not left this on for 3 hours for nothing. But it appears this is going to be the way forward. Now, I imagine they will change this for Alpha Wave 3. Maybe not 2, but certainly 3. Aphrodite is gaining far too much divinity right now and ulting almost every turn, which is allowing us to get 236 stacks of speed up and initiative up. And that is on all the heroes across here right now. So whenever she auto-attacks, everyone else follow-up attacks as well. And that includes Zeus's follow-up attack too, and the Shamash as well. It's not just boss fights. These three were key in my climb, especially doing the last wave of 149. And I know the other guys who have got to 151 have won maybe 2 of these, if not all 3. The other guy that I would be using if he wasn't bugged instead of Horus would be Heimdall. He is also incredible support defender. Heimdall and Horus, you can also use Tristan, who is a rare that this also works. Anyone who places a shield can sort of reciprocate the Horus Heimdall role as well. And again, he would be used if he wasn't bugged. And unfortunately it leads to a bit of a stale meta that, say, has been solved within 4 days. So what would I do to change it? Well, a lot of the changes, especially, say, with Aphrodite, we're going to see come just naturally. But as much as I hate to say it, I think maybe one of 2 things need to happen. We either need to, A, make it so Fafnir can't have his divinity stolen, so it will allow him to get his ultimate off and ramp up that damage. Without that, we can just keep him down like this, and then you can just say go forever and ever, and yeah, whoever can pay the largest electricity bill at the end wins. The downside to that is it makes a few units basically useless. A lot of people have successfully cleared the Golem Guardian and Fafnir in the floors below using the Hound of Duat Anubis combo. And the Hound has it on his basic attack, so it kind of makes him useless. So that is like almost in a way maybe a nuclear option, which, again, there's no right or wrong answer to this, and I think anything they do is going to suck. The other thing would be to make it so barrier cannot stack, especially with shield, because otherwise you're just near immortal, like I'm doing now. And I would keep this going forever and ever and all night, but we've got other things to do. So yeah, that is one issue with the Godforge Tower so far, that the meta has already been solved. And if you have these heroes, great, fantastic, you're going to do well, you're going to climb very quickly, including Heimdall. And if you don't, kind of hard. 2 other people that aren't included here but are also follow-up attackers is Hippolyta, specifically for Olympus heroes. Now, Aphrodite and Zeus are Olympian heroes, so essentially you just replace Shamash with Hippolyta, and 3 of my team there is already very good. Hercules is another Olympian, and then you just need 1 more healer and you're good to go. So it could also be a problem. The other one is Shishi. Now, Shishi specifically is Tian and Defender allies, which limits the selection pool. But Pangu is Tian and very strong. You could use Heimdall in here for your shield. And yeah, there you go. You've got 3 or 4 ally attacks. So it takes a bit more manoeuvring, but could still be possible and still be a problem. Anyway, with that out of the way, I'm going to go through the painstaking task of skill 1ing until we die, and then we'll come back into issues 2 and 3, which I think are much easier to solve. Okay, so that was never ending, so unfortunately I bit the bullet and just closed out of it. So no score showing on the board, but you and I both know that I would be way up there with everyone else. So, what are the 2 other issues that I have found in the caverns that I'd like to see, which I think are easier changes? The first one is gemstones. Now, I was quite fortunate in that I pulled a few eternal heroes early on, such as Aphrodite was my level 30 reward, and then I think around 90 I got, or no, floor 70 I got Zeus from farming, and I really wanted to use them a lot. Same with Beowulf for my boss fights. The problem comes with the Alchemy Stones. Now, the Alchemy Stones, I say, are used to ascend your heroes, and these are these things here. Now, they drop from the same floors that everyone else does, you know, the 5s essentially. But they drop at a lower rate to the other colours. At least that's what it feels like to me. So I didn't want green ones, but I'd farm it because I wanted medium-sized ones, or polished as they're called, and I couldn't get them. I kept getting green, and it was really frustrating to me that there isn't actually one dedicated to just purple. I get why, but I would change that personally. And what would I do to change that? So there are 150 floors, which I believe means there are 104 or 14 different 5s. We've got 5, 2, 3. Hope you don't get motion sickness. 4, 5, 45, 35. Yeah. 6, 7. 8, 9. Yeah, something like that, right? There are only 4 different types of stones, which means there is plenty of room for us to have a purple dedicated floor. So what I would do is I would still have your red drop from 5, your blue drop from 15, your green drop from 25, and then 35 I would make just purple, small ones. Then the next sort of group you would make just medium-sized ones and small ones for that colour, and then the last set make the large ones. That's what I would do personally. It just makes it so much easier to farm your stones and help you ascend your heroes, essentially. However, that means like sort of like 135 and 145. What do you do with those? Essentially, because you've got large stones everywhere else, what do you do with those? And that leads me on to the third thing that I sort of have an issue with and would like to see changed. That's gear farming. Now, gear farming is not something that I have really done too much of. And the reason for it is I'm farming up at 140, for example. 130 even, as well. And these stages don't drop gear. They drop hero spirits. They also drop skill books on 130. And 150 drops imprints. There is no gear there at all. And the problem that I have, if you see this, say just spirits and heroes, is that if I want gear, I'm going to have to go down to the lower floors. You know, some people can't do 120, for example, so you can't really expect them to farm here. It doesn't even drop gear. So you're going to have to come down to 110. 110 doesn't have gear. We come down to 100. Pages of knowledge again. 90. This is where we start getting armor again. Just make sure I'm not going mad. Yeah. 90 is where we start getting gear again. And the issue with that, Fafnir is pretty easy to do. It drops the specialist sets. It drops Duelist. I can't remember what this one is. Tremor, Razor, Spectre. And that one begins with P. floor 80 drops, and the other lot of specialist sets, Soul, Guardian, Avenger, Body, Shrine, these are all very good sets. But if I want my regular gear sets like my Wolf, my Bear, or even Falcon, I've got to come down to these lower floors. Like Falcon's not even dropping there. Or I've got to target these the specific floors where it's only legs, only boots. The problem is where the floors are lower, the gear quality is lower. Like there is the opportunity to get legendary gear, but chances are if you do, it's going to be 1 or 2 like crude or damaged quality, and it just doesn't feel right for me, especially Falcon. I can't remember what's the last stage to get Falcon on. Is it the 50s? Just double checking. Yeah, maybe it's the 80s. Yeah, 80s, and then I think after that it's sort of rotates back round. Yeah, I don't want to have to farm individual stages, especially that low down to get Falcon. So what I would do is with the spare slots from 135 or 145, which no longer drop gems, I would change these almost to like the boss floors. So keep 130 with the skill tomes, make 135 Falcon, Jaguar, Eagle, sets that are giving us like initiative, which you can't really find on some of the more specialist sets, with a higher rarity and sort of quality drop chance. That's what I would do, and I think then I would be farming gear as well. Because right now, if we look at my heroes, some of them are still in common gear, some of them still have 2-star crude stuff. Falcon is nowhere to be seen on my account, really. And so that's because I don't want to go down and almost feel like I'm wasting energy getting lower tier, lower quality stuff when I could be farming the higher stages. At least that's just my 2 cents. And that's it from me. But now we are over to you. At the beginning of this video, we talked about the issue with unkillable comps, as we're going to call them, with infinity shields and follow-up attackers playing a huge role so far. What would you do to change it? Do you agree with me saying perhaps stopping barrier stack? Do you agree with maybe saying Fafnir can't lose his divinity? Let me know down in the comments. I know Fateless are going to watch this and they will see it. Also mention it in the Discord. Let me know if you agree. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. So take care, look after yourselves, work hard, but as always, play harder, and I'll see you in another one soon. Cheers.